Hi, and welcome to the debut of our Run Akaroa Podcast for 2026, an event that I'm pretty excited about, I have to say. As I've put this podcast together over the last few weeks, I've got more and more fired up about this event and what the race day experience will look like, from the views over the peninsula, from the summit road to the race village, and the salmon to be had at the finish line, thanks to the crew at Akaroa Salmon. Hi team, I'm Richard Greer, the team captain of TeamCPNZ. I lead a coaching company based out of Canterbury, working alongside athletes all over New Zealand and the world. We work with people on all levels, so you're after a little bit of guidance with your preparation, maybe some help with some strength training through to regular coaching support and feedback to help you achieve your goals, then that's what we do. We're here to help. So to kick off this podcast, I'm going to do something a little bit different. We're going to start with a bit of a read directly from the website to get you into the Run Akaroa mood, is the plan of attack for today. So as we do this, I'm also just going to add a little bit of background music just to maybe add to the vibe here in terms of Run Akaroa as we go. So just set that one playing nicely there as well. So, okay, here we go. Run Akaroa. Run Akaroa, nourished by Akaroa King Salmon, delivers one of the most breathtaking courses in New Zealand. Every step traces a rim of an ancient volcano with shimmering Akaroa Harbour on one side and the vast South Pacific Ocean on the other. It's running elevated, literally. This event is built for everyone, from elite athletes chasing speed to first-timers chasing the next big milestone. Each course is crafted for maximum wow factor, and for one day only, you'll have the rare chance to run or walk the iconic summit road completely traffic-free. The views alone are worth the entry. Make it a day trip or turn it into an autumn getaway. Explore the rich history of Banks Peninsula, wander through charming streets of Akaroa, and soak up the culture, food, wildlife encounters, and waterfront vibes that make this town legendary. It's no surprise visitors from across New Zealand and around the globe choose Akaroa as a top destination. Be part of history, be part of the atmosphere, be part of the very first Run Akaroa. Yeah, how can you not be excited about that? I'm certainly fizzed up for it, so hopefully you are as well. It's going to be absolutely an awesome event to be part of first time. So without further ado, today's Run Akaroa, we're going to get to know the event from passionate sponsor Nik from Akaroa Salmon. We're going to talk to Cushla Holdaway about getting our nutrition dialed in for race day. And we're going to talk to Chris Morrissey, who has been out recently on a bit of a recce of the course, so what it feels like from a runner's perspective. So without further ado, we're going to grab Chris on board and have a bit of a chat about what this event is about. When we look at the course, we look at the course profile, etc. We get a little bit of an understanding, but we don't really fully get the vibe of it until we actually get on foot. So let's bring on Chris onto the show. Righto, I'm here with Chris Morrissey, marathon runner extraordinaire. He is the guy that's gone and recce'd this course, and want to have a bit of a chat to you about how you found it, where the tricky bits are, what the good bits are, and the general vibe of, I guess, the marathon, but also want to break down the half marathon, the 10K, which are shorter sections of the marathon. But anyway, Chris, how are you doing today? How's it all going for you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Yep, just on night shift this week, so I've got the day free to talk to you.
Nice.
So
yeah, good job. You've done well. And actually, before we go too much further, give us a bit of a background in terms of your running. Like, you've been around this running scene for a while now.
I started running in December 2019, just prior to the pandemic. I started from scratch. I'm not remotely an athlete prior to that. I launched, my first race was actually the Valley Ultra. I skipped all the race distances and went straight for an ultra up in the mountains. And I became addicted to ultras basically. And I'd probably chipped off 2 or 3 a year since then. And my last race was actually Tarawera 102K last year.
Good.
And I was really, really stoked to tick that one off. It's my greatest distance to date. And I was rebuilding post Tarawera for the Tekapo 50K. And the week before, I broke some ribs on my bike on my commute. Nothing exciting, not a very exciting crash at all, but broke multiple ribs and a shoulder injury. And I'm just on the build back from that now. So yeah.
Yeah, right. So you've my next question to that was, have you done a 10 or a half marathon? Like, you've done the ultras.
Yeah, I've never. No, so I'm entered to the Akaroa Run Akaroa half marathon. This will be my first half marathon race. Yeah, I've only done one marathon race prior to this as well. So yeah, I mean I've done plenty of that in training, but not
yes.
not as a race. Yeah.
You just about need to keep your nose clean, like stay out of the 10Ks, stay out of the 5Ks, and just sort of like see how long you can do that without having done one. Like it's pretty fun that you've only done one marathon, but pretty much all your events have been ultras.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, good. So you're a good man to be able to talk to us about this run. Obviously, there's some hills in it, which is pretty cool and pretty scenic as well. You've gone and done a recce of that. When was that? When did you go?
It was a fortnight to 3 weeks ago, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did the half marathon course.
Yeah. Nice. So I've got some images here. We're going to, for those that are listening to this, won't be able to see this, but it will help us kind of talk through it. So let's start with that half marathon course then, shall we? Since you've run it, and I'm just going to put that up on the screen here. No, that's the 10K. We're going to bring up the half marathon course. No, that's the 10K as well. Let's go and have a look at the I mean, it's all about the hills. On Kerry's website, I don't know, the hills don't look like they're as bad. It feels like, because I've ridden it on my bike a couple of times in the race. And
me too,
like they're pretty honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit, I feel like the Summit Road of Akaroa Harbour and the Summit Road of Port Hills, that it's quite undulating, but collectively, there's actually a substantial amount of vert across the top of both of those roads. So it's the same for this one. The half marathon course starts just above Little Akaroa Bay turnoff.
Yeah.
And it starts straight into it with a hill. You've got a gradual climb to start the race. So that'll certainly sort a few people out. I'd say don't go out too hot.
Yeah. And these are good things to know. Like that's the thing. I don't know what you find in terms of riding your bike, because that's all I've got reference to here, versus running. But I feel like it feels steeper when you're riding a bike versus running.
Absolutely.
Like if you're running up a road, hey, not everyone can run up a road, but you can run up a road and then you can pass cyclists, can't you, when you're running up the road?
Yes.
Because they're just battling away on their bike.
Yeah, that's always been my previous measure, was like heading up Kennedy's Bush, was to be able to run past cyclists, and then since also heading off into the cycling world as well, and riding up Kennedy's it's just no fun. You're reduced to a snail's pace.
Yeah, it is quite nice as a runner to be able to pass the cyclist, isn't it? You sort of got a bit
absolutely,
of a
yeah.
That's awesome. So obviously there's a marathon, there's a half marathon and a 10K. You just did the half marathon course, but let's talk about the marathon course for a little bit. What is that about? And tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, it's got a substantial amount of, from where it starts. Yeah, it's got a lot of climb. What do we got?
So you start and you run back towards the Hilltop Tavern, turn around, and then come back along.
Summit Road. And there's quite a few. There's quite a few pinchy climbs in there.
Mm-hmm.
From the Pigeon Bay Road turnoff there's quite a few pinchy climbs. And saying that, the climbs, I mean, if you are training on the hills now, they're all very runnable hills, especially based on the on being on the tar seal as well. You haven't got that concern about a technical trail or anything like that where you need to worry about your foot placement. But the climbs are. I feel like they're going to add up over the distance. It's going to compound.
Yes. And I mean, just thinking about how to run up a hill, it's one thing I've been playing with personally for the last year or a few years probably. Like I used to think that let's power walk the hill. There's a point that a hill becomes too steep and you have to start walking, isn't it? But also if you run and keep running and run at a pace that's sustainable, then get up on your toes, you can use the elastic energy of your Achilles and calf to be able to kind of spring you on, rather than having to create more force by using your glutes and things for every step you do. So there's a point there that running up a hill is actually more efficient than walking up a hill. Do you play with that at all, Chris, with your running?
Yeah, I have in the past. I was briefly coached by Sia Svensson a few years ago for my first attempt at Tarawera, and yeah, she definitely was big on the what would she call it? It was like fairy feet, I think it was. But yeah, it was very light on the toes, but using the springiness of your step to better get up, more efficiently get up a hill than trying to power walk it.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, that's something that I think people need to think about all across this course, because like it's not like we're running from the sea level up the hill, up crazy steep hills, are we? It's a road.
No.
Probably the tip is there to learn to run up a hill, and say if you're Christchurch based, the Summit Road running would be the best type of running that you can do close to Christchurch.
Absolutely, yeah, and a lot safer as well. Yeah, I found when I ran the half marathon, it was a Wednesday mid morning. Very lucky, very very minimal traffic, but I would definitely suggest that the Port Hills Summit Road is great, because a large section of it is closed to the vehicles. So, and you'll definitely get you've got a couple of good climbs there from Rapaki out to Castle Rock, and then back down to Bridle Path, and then back up again to Mount Pleasant. So yeah, that'd be good training routes for sure.
Nice. Were the views any good while you're up there?
Oh, stunning. Yeah, absolutely stunning. Both sides, because you've got the harbour on your right the entire time, and then you've just got bay after bay after bay on your left, and then you'll go through sections of farmland, and then you'll go into a section of native bush, and the bird song was so loud. And then the cicadas were deafening coming down Long Bay Road. But it's absolutely stunning scenery. And I feel like even you probably would have had this on the race as well. Even when you get a little bit of sort of colder weather, you'll get the clouds rolling over from depending on the wind direction, you'll get clouds rolling out of a harbour, and they'll just roll over the saddles of the roads of Summit Road. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, so I had a little bit of that on the day that I ran.
Nice. And one of the things, again, going back to my experience across this is the race. Coming down the hill, how was that downhill down Long Bays Road? Because it's basically the marathon runs out and back to Hilltop Tavern, then back along the summit. The half marathon will run along the summit basically and down Long Bays Road, whereas the 10K, I don't know, what's that? A third of the course, a quarter of the course is
it looks to be that. So it starts at O'Kane's. Yeah. So that Long Bay.
How'd you find
Long Bay was steep.
Yeah.
I anticipated it to be somewhere where I could open up the tap and really get some good pace on. But as we spoke earlier, I suspect my body's not too conditioned at the moment to the hills. I've sort of only just started a bit of a training block for the hills. So the quads were sort of screaming quite early on into the descent.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing around this run, isn't it? We talked about hill training and making sure you practice the uphill, and can you find a hill that's runnable and work on runnable hills, but it's also the descent as well, isn't it?
Yes.
And getting down the hill well, and making sure that you keep yourself in one piece. Like, it's quite long, which again, hey, running downhill is going to be faster than running uphill. So there's time to be made here, isn't it? As long as you can hold yourself together and be strong enough. Yeah,
I think it's 7 kilometres downhill from the turnoff, onto Long Bay Road to the finish line. So it's quite a substantial descent.
It doesn't look like 7Ks on this. What are we doing? No, I've got the wrong. Maybe I've got the wrong vision.
I felt like it was 7K. I could. I'm not.
Oh, that's right. There, I've got the right visual now. Okay, so that must be. There we go. Okay, and that looks like more like 7Ks, doesn't it?
Yeah, I felt like it was 14K from the start to the Long Bay Road intersection.
Your half marathon. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, have you got any tips from your experience in terms of running downhill and how you can help yourself out to run downhill well and keep yourself in one piece?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely key is to pace yourself, is to not get in front of your feet. Ensure that your shoes are tied up nice and tight as well, to be honest, because you can have a fair bit of movement in your shoe on the descent. Your toes are going to shift to the front of your shoe. Yeah, I feel like there's an opportunity there to get ahead of yourself, and I feel like bring it back a little bit because it's 7K long. You could tire yourself out on the descent. It's hard to figure that out, but yeah, you will get muscle fatigue on the descent.
Yeah, and the start's not too steep, doesn't it? Like it's the steepness is the end of it. That's where it gets sort of steeper. So the first part of the descent is actually like would be really nice running, wouldn't it? Like actually be able to sort of actually get some good stride and good cadence and actually shifting along pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that is to train for that, to get used to that, to make sure your shoes. What about a shoe choice? Is that a thing? Like, I mean, there's some great shoe options coming out these days. It's probably another, but is there anything that people should be looking for in shoes based on your experience of coming down a road like that?
It's a tricky one for me, Richard, because I'm a trail runner first and foremost. So, but I would say I do a lot of road running as part of my training, just purely for time purposes. Yeah, I just run from home because I live in Hornby. The trails are 10 kilometers away. So yeah, I do a lot of road running, but I'm not too up with the play on the road shoes. I run a pair of Puma Nitro DV8s. They're a great shoe. I've just got the one rotation of road shoe that I use. So yeah, I'm a bit old school in that respect. But yeah, I really
something to think about. Something to think about anyway, isn't it? Like in terms of
something to consider.
Cushioning to think about around that to be able to go well.
I'm not too sure who's like who's the people interested in this race as well. Like, is it trail runners because there's hills, or is it road? It's bringing a real mixed crowd. It's a really interesting race because we don't have, as far as I'm aware, we don't have many road races in New Zealand that have hills as such, like to this degree. So yeah, it'll be an interesting crowd of road runners and trail runners combined, I feel.
Yeah. But really doable as well, isn't it? Like looking at the course,
absolutely.
It's scenic. There's hills. That makes a different challenge. It'll be interesting to see what times come in. There's an opportunity to actually go pretty well, but also, So it will be interesting to sort of see what that looks like and how it feels on race day with the different, the amalgamation of like trail runners, crazy ultra trail runners like yourself, through to people that have done their first half marathon and won a different challenge.
Yeah. And I think that the area also lends itself to bringing people in for this race as well. Just the scenery, and those that go to Akaroa know how beautiful it is, and it's such a quaint little town. And to finish up your race there, I think it's going to be quite special.
Yeah. And it's so close to Christchurch, but it feels so far away. I think that's a cool thing about it as well.
Oh, and even more so when you're on the Summit Road.
Yeah, 100%. So, what are you running the half marathon, or are you suiting up for the marathon? Or Chris, are you going for your first 10K ever?
No, I think I'm going to do the half marathon. Yeah, okay. I'm excited about that because I feel like is a because of the net downhill. I feel like there's a good opportunity for a PR there.
The old low-hanging fruit. I like it. There's a chance. Yeah, and I think that's what will draw people into this race as well. There's a chance,
absolutely,
because it's a net downhill. Chance to go fast.
Yeah.
Nice work. Awesome. Well, and so your tip to take away, your key tip is make sure you train the downhill so you can hold yourself together on that descent and still be running well at the end. I find actually, just last point here, one of the hardest parts is you're running down a downhill and you probably know this, you've probably gone down the Port Hills and then have to run all the way home for 10Ks in Hornby, but it's actually trying to hold yourself together once you get to the flat and actually do some proper running, because the finish line isn't exactly at the bottom of the hill. There'll be a bit of flat to go to get to the end, is there?
Yeah, I think I feel like it was maybe 500 meters.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit more. It's definitely less than a kilometer, but you're right. There's a possibility that nothing's going to work no more when you hit the flat.
Yeah, that's right. So if it's 500 meters, it'll probably feel 400 meters too long by the time you get to the flat. Make sure you do remember that as you get to the finish line as well.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, Chris. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you on the day and cheering across that finish line. And hopefully you're still looking good as you do cross the finish line.
Absolutely.
This time around as well.
Thanks, video.
Nik from Akaroa Salmon. It's pretty exciting to have a chat to you, Nik. It's the debut of the Run Akaroa event, and you guys have jumped on as one of the key sponsors for this year's event.
Yeah, no, look, we're really stoked to be involved. When we heard about it, and we had a chat to Kerry, and we're just like, look, how do we help support this, get it off the ground for the first year? We're a big part of the community over there, and we just wanted to make sure that this sort of celebrates the local area, brings some people in, especially sort of outside of the regular tourist hours for those sort of local restaurants and things. They've been doing it pretty tough recently. So any support for the broader community is awesome, and hopefully people can come over, see what a beautiful place it is there, and enjoy their time, have a beautiful run. We'll fingers crossed for the weather. But it's a gorgeous day out there right now, so should be awesome.
Yeah, that's right. I think all New Zealanders sort of factor that in. It's like, it's nice today. Okay, well, it's probably going to be nice for the event as well. So, but a pretty cool course as well, eh? Like pretty scenic, overlooking Akaroa Harbour as well, down into the bays and things as you run around, both for all events.
Yeah, people sort of forget. They think sort of Banks Peninsula. They picture it sticking out to the east of New Zealand, but actually the Akaroa Harbour actually faces out south. So that's great for the salmon. You get these sort of cold southerly swells coming through. In winter, it means it can get reasonably gnarly with some southerly winds. But it does mean this time of the year, when you're getting more of the sort of prevailing warm nor'westers, you're actually a little bit more protected in there. So you can have some nice, gentle days out there. So it's a beautiful place to go boating and swimming and stuff in summer. And should be awesome in autumn for a beautiful run.
Nice. As a runner and a fisherman, do like getting out and catching a fish or two, especially a salmon if possible. Where are you guys are running salmon farms in the harbour itself? Is that correct?
Yes.
And where are they exactly?
Yeah, so they're out on the Wainui side and just further out towards the heads out there. So we were started by Tom and Duncan Bates. They were farmers in the area. In fact, they've been farming in Wainui since 1866. And then when the whole Roger Douglas thing changed sort of farming in New Zealand and subsidies, doing steep hillside sheep and beef farming was no longer viable. And they'd seen someone trialling salmon farming in Stewart Island back in the 80s, and they thought, well, we'll give it a go. Got some galvanized pipe, basically, some old bits of farm equipment, and put together a test pen, and ended up actually selling the farm to focus on salmon farming. And sort of here, literally 40 years later now, we're a pretty large employer over there. We produce about 1,000 tons of salmon. So we're by far the smallest marine salmon farm in the world. But we've always focused on quality. What we do different in New Zealand is we grow king salmon. Everywhere else in the world grows Atlantic salmon. Just because some Americans got confused about the word salmon in the 1800s, it sort of mucked everyone up, but they're actually different genus in there. So much higher omega-3 content than Atlantic salmon. They don't need any treatments like they don't get sea lice or parasites or anything else like that. They're so super, super clean, beautiful fish, and that's why they're so prized overseas.
Okay. So obviously there's salmon farms down in Mackenzie country as well that way. Obviously they're all freshwater. Does that make a difference with your salmon as well? Like you guys are purely saltwater salmon?
Yeah, I think the saltwater and those cold sort of South Pacific currents get you the absolute best in terms of flavour, and that's something we're really proud of.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And for you guys, we probably should focus on the running rather than the fishing. Tell us, like with Akaroa Salmon, what are you guys going to bring to the event? What's your role?
We're definitely going to be serving salmon, so that's one.
Okay. There you go.
Look, even just the whole way, just working together with them. If the pre-race registration here, we're going to set it up at our little shop in town here in Christchurch. So where we process, we actually sell direct to the public. I mean, we still sell direct from the wharf too, same as we've always been. It's a big focus for us is working with the community. So same thing, we'll be working with the community in there. We'll be having some salmon, cooking some of that up at the when you cross the finish line. Come and get some salmon tacos there as your race recovery. In that, but there'll be a whole lots of things that we'll be doing along the way. Stuart, our CEO, is a very, very keen runner. He did the Boston. He's qualified for a whole bunch of ones around the place. I know he's doing it, but I haven't got him over the line yet to wear a salmon costume for the race. I'm working on that.
Okay, sounds like you're more of the ideas man rather than sort of suiting up for the race yourself.
I will be at the finish line. Waiting there. I will not be involved in the running whatsoever. I don't think I convinced my wife or the physio. I've had an ACL reconstruction recently, so I'm a wee bit off the knees at the moment. But yeah, certainly I think that 10K downhill in there, that people will be getting some pretty good times in that.
Yeah. Do you have 2 salmon costumes? Will you be wearing one as well at the finish line?
I could definitely. I'm happy to do that. I've been known to make a fool of myself at the best of times. So, yeah, no, happy to do that.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Stuart, there is some. We're going to have a whole team here. I know there is some banter between the boys on the farm there and some of the factory team about who's going to do better.
Okay.
My money is on the salty sea dogs on the farm. I know some of them
there too.
Yeah, they've been training actually pretty hard for it. So they're my money would be on them rather than standing on your feet all day in the factory.
So good. And I'd have to say, you mentioned that you're going to have some salmon tacos at the finish line. That must be pretty high up there in terms of recovery food for an athlete, opposed to a banana and a sausage.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons we got involved at the outset. Seafood is so good for you. We just can't talk about it enough. And yet people seem to be constantly sort of feeding misinformation about seafood, and you can't have this, you can't have that. And instead it's like, well, you're going to have these sort of UPF versions to up your protein and things like this. Or, the data is really clear if you look at it. If you want to get healthy omega-3s, eat fresh seafood. Don't be taking it in a pill form. Bioavailability, all the other parts. So it's incredibly good for your joints, heart health, all the things that tick the boxes. You want to be eating, in particular, oily fish. So king salmon is right up there. You want really good quality, fish. New Zealanders they don't get it. They don't realize how lucky they are. No one else in the world can get that. If they get king salmon, if you go to the US, you're paying 4 times the price by the time it gets over there than what New Zealanders are here. And so we're encouraging people to turn around the back of the packet in the supermarket. Increasingly, you're seeing stuff that looks like it might be New Zealand salmon, particularly some of the labels, but you turn it around. There's actually imported Atlantic salmon. Really just encouraging people, if you want great joint health, we know how important that is, particularly if you're covering some miles. Oily seafood is the way to go. And if it's not us, then fine, look for other New Zealand king salmon producers. That's really important. I don't care, but make sure it's not imported Atlantic. You really should be supporting local
totally
on that. And obviously we're the best. So by us, we're into running and supporting that sort of thing too. So, look, it could be greenlet mussels, mackerel, sardines, oily fish. It's so important, and it just seems to be not part of the conversation. It's like we're going to have these sort of recovery bars, and we're going to have all these other bits and pieces that we're going to just throw vitamin additives, and the science is really clear that just bioavailability isn't there. The best thing for humans is to actually eat real food. And you want super clean food, no heavy metals in our salmon, no microplastics, nothing else. You want good, high quality fish. It just seems a bit of a no-brainer.
That's right. And we're so fortunate in New Zealand to have that quality food production that we do have here. We just need to make sure it's actually New Zealand growing when we buy it. That's the key thing that gets tricky sometimes, doesn't it? So, I really agree with that.
It is really tough because, I feel for, all farmers in New Zealand are doing it tough, and they're competing not on a level playing field when the things that we have to do here, and rightfully so, I'm not arguing we shouldn't, the levels of what we have to achieve in terms of cleanliness and processing and everything else are far superior than what we're seeing in the supermarkets that have been imported there. So it's up to the consumer, and look, most people who are into running and stuff, they get it. They know they want to look after their body. That's important to them. If they want to get the numbers they want to see, then you're making sure you're putting the right fuel in. And I definitely think, fish is one of those ones that it's just, it's incredibly good for you. And we're incredibly lucky in New Zealand. We have the best fish on the planet. There's no doubt about that in my mind. I've worked as a chef overseas around the world, and, you can get great lamb out of the salt marshes of Normandy or, Welsh, mountain lamb and things like this. But the seafood in New Zealand is second to none. We have these cold, clean, beautiful waters. But for some reason, New Zealanders don't seem to get into it. And without that critical mass, a lot of it goes overseas because we won't order enough of it to actually, get it fresh and turning over. And we don't go and see a good fishmonger. Probably the same as the butchers. I feel, same guys struggle a bit. Like, go and see a good butcher. Go and get really good quality cuts of meat. I think that's just hopefully a process that New Zealand is getting better at rather than convenience.
I like it. Sorry, Kara.
Yeah, well, you're not going to find our stuff in every supermarket. We're just too small. That's not what we're doing. But if you want to go to Sabato in Auckland or Faro Fresh or Theo's Fishery down here or Moore Wilson in Wellington, if you go to places who get quality, then they'll have our salmon.
Yeah, nice work. Hey, Nik, I love your passion. I love what you're doing. I love that you're involved with the Run Akaroa, and I also love the fact that I'm going to be able to taste some of your Akaroa King salmon on the lead up, and then also at the finish line as well. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. It's got a great setting at the finish. We're really looking forward to setting that up. I mean, Akaroa is a beautiful township anyway, so we want people to get over and enjoy what we've got in our own backyard. So we're super proud of that. We're a little bit unique, and we're not a limited liability company. We're a partnership with Onuku, the local marae over there, and Ngāti Porou as well. So our whole sort of mandate is actually working and supporting local. And that's they're charitable entities. That's what their money's going back into, supporting their people. And same with us. If we can get people over, see what a beautiful site it is, support the local restaurants and cafes, and have a great run as well. Yeah,
good. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, just fingers crossed with that. Even that, a good southerly breeze there, be nice and refreshing.
Yeah, exactly. We'll remind us of that. But love your work. It's going to be awesome, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the finish line.
Cool. Thanks, Richard. Cheers, mate.
Well done. Cheers, Nik. Welcoming Cushla Holdaway, sports dietitian, onto the podcast today. If you're watching this, you can only see me, but Cushla is here in my headphones on the audio. Cushla, can you hear me?
I can. Thanks for having me, Richard.
Yeah, phoning in today. That's pretty cool. Thank you so much for your time, and great to be able to catch up with you. Today we're talking Run Akaroa, and we wanted to have a chat about, I guess, that pre-race nutrition piece, and because it affects so much of your day as a runner, doesn't it, to be able to make sure that you have a good day. If you get it wrong, have too much or not enough, then you can struggle. So I guess if we do that well, then it can really set our day up. So keen to hear your thoughts on how to manage that. What are some ideas? What about timing? How much? All that sort of stuff today. Is that something that we can have a crack at, Cushla?
Yeah, and firstly, that Run Akaroa event looks absolutely fantastic. And secondly, yes, nutrition can be the difference between you finishing with a smile and having a really good day, or struggling and absolutely hating a day. So does the training, of course, but yes, nutrition is key to that. So let's chat about what could help. Yeah,
good. So as a dietitian, you always talk about make sure you practice this before race day, so it's not a new one. So if you're listening to this podcast on the way to the race or the day before, just do what you've always done. We'll say that for a start, shall we? Just don't try anything new. But what are your recommendations? I guess for a start, thinking about what are some options that I could have? Like, give me some ideas. I hear people, elite athletes, eating rice bubbles for breakfast, which are obviously really light and not much in them. But for me, rice bubbles, I'd have them with milk. So does that just mean a milky kind of? Doesn't really feel enough. So what are some ideas of what people could have as their breakfast on race day?
Well, rice bubbles could absolutely be used, and you could make it a little bit bulkier by potentially having a nani on top and maybe a drizzle of honey, and having a decent portion of those rice bubbles. They are light, but they are carb dense and have very little dietary fiber. So they're probably going to sit pretty well in your tummy, given you've practiced that, of course. But thinking along the same lines is, similar advice to what we often come back to, and that's really focusing on your carb-rich foods in particular. There can obviously be a little bit of protein in there, but we just don't want to overdo excessive amounts of protein, and definitely not too much fat or dietary fiber. And an everyday breakfast, those things are really important, but not when it's a couple of hours before going for a decent run.
Yeah, great. Okay, so I guess amounts of carbohydrates of things as well. What are we sort of shooting for here? What do we want to aim in our breakfast / pre-race meal?
So in terms of numbers, you're wanting at least, like ideally it's more 2 to 4 grams of carb per kilogram of body weight. But if you can get to at least 1.5, if you feeling a bit nervous or if breakfast's a bit hard for you. So, for numbers' sake, if you're a 70 kg athlete, you want to be getting at least maybe 100, 140 grams of carb in that meal, whether that's about 2 to 3 hours prior. Could be 4 hours prior if you wanted, and having a top-up snack. But yeah, it is a reasonable amount of carb. So you need those nice carb-rich, lower fiber foods to actually be able to get that amount in. So we're talking things like refined white breads, maybe some nice sourdough bread. If it's Easter time, technically it could be something like hot cross buns, because this race is just after Easter. Yeah, it could be your rice bubbles and milk and banana. It could be crumpets. Bagels are fantastic. Bagels are one of my favorites. And thinking about, I always say, have your main carb food, but also top it with carbs. So it's like carbs on carbs. So thinking, a bagel with jam, maybe a bit of peanut butter and a banana. So you're kind of doubling up on all those good carbs.
Yeah, good. I like it. And what about drinks to go with that as well? Do we drink a sports drink at the same time, knowing that we're getting some electrolytes plus carbs plus your fluid?
It is a wise idea, and it is something I suggest, because if you're going to drink a bit of water in the morning, which I hope you are, why not drink a little bit of carb and electrolyte with that as well? Because that, even if it's half a litre you sip on from when you wake up till the start of the race, that could be an extra, 30 grams of carb or more potentially. Plus you're just getting a bit of extra, it hydrates you a little bit more effectively with the electrolytes in there, and also you're consuming it around the meal, which helps that as well. So it is a wise idea if you can, but it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, nice. What about rolled oats? A lot of people for a lot of years, and will do that, will be porridge or some form of overnight oats or something like that. Is that something you're not recommending so much these days? Just, I guess the fiber content's higher, so it's going to that's just going to sit in your digestive system?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Nutritionally, oats are a fantastic food, but yes, they do come with a little bit more dietary fiber, and there is a bit of protein in oats too, which isn't a bad thing, but it can just be a little bit heavier in the gut. And anecdotally, just from what I see with clients I work with, I'd say oats aren't a favorite. And it is just, people sometimes say that just sits a bit heavier for them. So yeah, they're not, if it works for you, that's fine. But I'd probably try some other options first, potentially. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So some of those other things that you've gone with there. What about like a lot of, again, eggs on toast, that sort of thing? Same thing. I guess the fiber would be less, but the protein element's going to take longer to digest.
A little bit. Eggs aren't particularly super high in protein. They are a protein-rich food, but a couple of eggs might give you anywhere from 12 to 14 grams, so it's not massive amounts. But, if you're only having a couple of eggs on 2 bits of toast, that's probably not quite enough carb there to really set you up for a decent day. So you could have a couple of eggs on toast alongside potentially some cereal with that as well. Or we were looking just before at the start times for the Run Akaroa. It's a pretty cruisy morning. And the marathon starting at 9:30 and the half and 10 starting at 10, you might have more of a eggs on toast 6 or 7 a.m. and then top up with something more like toast or bagel a couple of hours prior. So you can kind of have those two smaller breakfasts. Yeah.
Good. I like that. I wanted to talk about that in terms of like breakfast or pre-race meal is one thing, and you've given some good carbohydrate guidelines to try and shoot for, carbohydrate being the most important fuel for exercise. But to be less committed of making sure you don't overeat that pre-race meal is really useful, isn't it? Because you can have a little bit or not, depending on how you're going, because nerves play a part as well, don't they?
They do. I guess the benefit of the Akaroa race is it's not really early, because I find a really early start plus nerves, like that's extra hard.
Yeah.
But I guess if it's more of a normal time for breakfast, that can make it slightly easier. So my advice, and this goes for any race, is in your training, try to mimic those key long runs at a similar time to the race start time, just so you can practice the timing of your breakfast and digestion and when you actually kick off as well.
Yeah, good stuff. And what about options for pre-race meals, like as a muesli bar or a banana? That's what I would generally use. Does that work, or any other thoughts or ideas?
Like as a top-up snack or?
Yeah, top-up snack pre-race. And also
Yeah.
timing would be interesting to know your thoughts as well.
Yeah, I think always having an optional top-up snack, depending how you feel for that, anywhere from 45 to 10 minutes prior to the start's not a bad idea. And that could be a gel. It could be just sipping away on your sports drink you've had through the morning. Or it could actually be a banana, 20, 30 minutes out. So, yeah, that is quite individual, but it's not a bad idea to have because you don't want to start the race feeling a bit peckish.
Yeah.
Like not over full, but certainly not hungry. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess if you're hungry, your energy levels are probably low. That's really what your body's telling you, is it? Would that be fair?
Yeah, if you're already feeling hungry, you've probably had a pretty good digestion through your breakfast already. It doesn't mean you have no energy on board, but it's not a good place to start your race, given you might be out there for 2, 3, 4 hours of pretty hard work. So, yeah.
Nice. And what about like gels and the sugary stuff, like before race, like the race start? Like, would you recommend having a gel like 5 minutes beforehand? Is that going to be good, be bad, or do we have 2 gels beforehand? I guess as long as we can cope with it and our stomach doesn't go upside down. What are your recommendations there? Because when we're not puffing and we can get it on board, it feels like we might as well get a bit extra there while we can.
And if you can, and if you've practiced having 1 or 2 top-up snacks in a certain time frame before, by all means, go for it. There's no right or wrong. And some people too, I would suggest you might want to top up with something that has a little bit of caffeine, keeping in mind caffeine peaks in your system anywhere from about 30 to 60 minutes after you've consumed it. So, you might want to have that more like 30 minutes out to be sort of peaking, having that peak in your bloodstream when you're kind of getting underway. Yeah.
Yep. So that's good. Now you're taking me back to the start. One thing we didn't talk about was the morning coffee. Or do we, obviously, tell us more about that, because obviously caffeine, but coffee with your breakfast. What would you recommend there, and thoughts about that?
Yes, I'm a fellow coffee lover, and definitely part of my morning routine, and definitely before races. The tricky thing with coffee, and I've actually written some recent articles on this, is it's very, very hard to estimate how much caffeine is in your coffee. Unless you went and analysed it in a sample. So it's always a pretty rough estimate. So if you're wanting to be really specific with your caffeine dosing, I would say use things that have like gels or chews or sports drinks that have a very specific amount, so you know how much you're dosing if you're worried about overdosing or getting the jitters, say. Yeah, but if you know that your regular sort of instant coffee works for you in the morning, then you can try and calculate approximately how much would be in there, and then calculate the rest of your caffeine through the race. But yeah, that's the downside of coffee, is it's just a little bit more of guesswork. Yeah.
Yes. But do what you normally do, because that gets you started. It's part of your routine. And then that generally coffee drinkers will have a greater tolerance to caffeine as well. So be on the higher end of the scale anyway in terms of what's required for making a difference for your sport and exercise.
Yeah, generally, if you're drinking caffeine most days, it's you're likely going to be able to handle it a bit better in a race. Yeah.
Nice. So to wrap up, Cushla, is there anything else that you'd like to, I guess, add, things maybe we haven't thought about in terms of our pre-race meal, getting ourselves sorted for our Run Akaroa event?
No, I think keeping it pretty simple. I think that'd be the key takeaways there, and just making sure that, you're hydrating through the morning before you race, and not trying to force feed yourself a certain amount of fluid where you just end up sitting on the loo a whole heap. Peeing before the race, but making, you're probably, depending on the individual and the body weight, you'd be wanting to get at least half a litre or so through that morning period the couple of hours prior. So, but if you're wanting more individualized help, definitely reach out to, sports dietitian to assist with that as well.
Yeah, good stuff. No, I think that's great advice, actually, because sometimes we've got a plan and this is the plan, this is what we've done, but listen to your body knows. So don't be too like, I have to do this exactly. If it's actually more fluid and more lighter stuff, well, that's okay. The one key thing about sport nutrition is it's about fueling and carbohydrates and energy, but the other half of it, just as important, but is making sure you don't have a stomach upset as well, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. And I'd say, if you look at a lot of people who DNF events, a lot of it comes down to people having gastro upset. So you just don't want to be that person, or that person having to run off into the bushes. Yeah, it's not fun.
Again, yeah, that's right. So if you are a little bit underdone, that's a completely fine, and then you can just go and run as best as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Hey, thank you so much for your time. Love your insights, love your work. You do a great job of helping so many people out there with their nutrition. So thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to chatting again soon, Cushla.
Yeah, thanks, Richard.
Cool. Thanks heaps.